Imagine climbing the world's highest mountains with nothing but a paper map and sheer determination. In 1929, two extraordinary expeditions pushed the boundaries of human endurance in ways that would make modern mountaineers shudder.
That's fascinating. What kind of expeditions are we talking about here?
Well, the first follows Lieutenant Colonel Schomburg crossing the Moose Art Pass in the Tian Shan Mountains, essentially the major trade route connecting Chinese Turkestan with the city of Kulja. What's remarkable is they started their journey at 4:30 in the morning, tackling a 14-mile glacier just to reach the first checkpoint.
So they were crossing glaciers in the dark? That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Oh, it was. And here's what's wild. They had to physically cut steps into the ice just to get their horses across. The crevasses were so treacherous they had to make these exhausting detours. And then they reached this stretch with snow between 8 and 10 feet deep.
How did they manage to navigate through snow that deep?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. There was just this tiny, narrow path, and when caravans met going opposite directions, it turned into this high-altitude showdown. The stronger caravan would literally force their way through, pushing the weaker one into the deep snow.
That's wild. Like some kind of mountain pass survival of the fittest.
Exactly right. And you know what makes it even more challenging? They couldn't even use camels. Everything had to be transferred to donkeys at the base, creating these massive supply dumps that look like military operations.
So tell me about this second expedition. You mentioned there were two?
Yes, this British trade agent named E.B. Wakefield embarked on what turned out to be a 5-month journey through western Tibet. We're talking about covering over 1,300 miles through some of the most remote terrain on Earth.
That's an incredible distance. What kind of challenges did they face?
Well, the most devastating moment came at the Bodpo La Pass, nearly 19,400 feet high. The combination of extreme cold and altitude was so severe that multiple team members collapsed, and tragically, one of their Gurkha companions didn't survive.
That really puts into perspective how dangerous these expeditions were.
And here's something that really shows the extremes they faced. Wakefield had to swim across the flooded Indus River 4 times carrying supplies. We're talking about glacial water that had risen 3.5 feet since their first crossing.
You know what amazes me? How they managed to navigate without any modern technology.
That's right. They were working with maps that were often incomplete or just wrong. They actually discovered that one pass they were planning to use, the charting pass, didn't even exist anymore. But you know what's fascinating? In the middle of all this hardship, they had these incredible moments of connection.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they met this local Tibetan official who had been educated at rugby school in England and spoke perfect English. Imagine that cultural collision. There, in one of the most remote places on Earth, they find someone who bridges these two completely different worlds.
These stories really do capture both the best and most challenging aspects of human nature, don't they?
They absolutely do. And what's really striking is how these routes are still challenging today. The Moose Art Pass still sees regular traffic, but remains formidable. It's like this living connection to these incredible historical journeys, showing us that while technology has advanced, the fundamental challenges of crossing these landscapes haven't changed.
So in many ways, we're still walking in their footsteps.
Exactly. And I think that's why these stories continue to fascinate us. They show us both what humans are capable of achieving and what it truly costs to push beyond what seems possible. Whether it's cutting steps into glaciers or swimming across frozen rivers, these journeys remind us that exploration isn't just about reaching new places. It's about testing the limits of human endurance and determination.